All right, with the First Pick podcast, I'm Ryan Wilson, and this young man here. And just so you know, Bryce, Rick Spielman makes fun of me all the time for calling people young men. You are a young man, and a lot of great things going for you. Thanks for joining us here. Going to have a little quick conversation because you got a lot going on. The draft is just a few days away, and I'm sure you're pretty excited about that. So I'm sure you've been asked and answered a ton of crazy questions. We talked to you at the Combine, and our guy Rick asked you some pretty tough questions about why you were working out there. You went to your pro day, and you absolutely balled out. So let's start there. So you made the decision, you and your guys made the decision not to throw at the Combine, and you explained that you had planned to do it at the pro day. And as Rick pointed out at the time and said again to you after your pro day, you're sort of putting all your eggs in one basket. You went to your pro day and you balled out. Me and Rick were at the CJ pro day. We came down to see you the next day. Then we went back up to see Will Levis. And the following week we saw Anthony Richardson. And we both agreed separately and together when we talked about it that your pro day was probably the best among those quarterbacks. You played in some of the biggest games on the college stage. Were you at all nervous going into that? Did you know what you had to do? And when you play with ice water in your veins, so you are very rarely, it seems, unaffected. Any nerves at all going to that pro day, knowing that was your last best chance, or were you just doing what Bryce does?
Yeah, not really. For me, it was just a cool opportunity to have. Having a pro day is something that you dream of. It was a great part of this process. And, it was cool being back in Alabama, back in Tuscaloosa, back in the indoor, back throwing with my guys. So, honestly, it was really fun. And I was looking at it more as an opportunity than anything. So I really enjoyed it.
It's funny you mentioned being in Tuscaloosa because Nick Saban is the Pope in Tuscaloosa. Like when he walks around, it is like a VIP because he has done so many great things for that university. Mm-hmm. And I asked you at the Combine about sort of your Nick Saban moment. And you mentioned you threw a touchdown pass in a practice late at the end of practice, and you were excited about it. And Coach Saban was not excited about it. But I will say this: when Coach Saban talks to the media, he talks up the guys he likes a lot. Was there ever something that he said to you that was complimentary that caught you off guard, but that you later appreciated because you knew that he knew that you were a dude?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, everything that he said is, it does, it's super beneficial. All the lessons that he's given me, whether it's easy to hear or hard to hear, they're always our best interest in heart. And, hearing a couple of clips and things that he said, during this process is, it really means a lot because, not only, is that, obviously, that's a coach I have, obviously who I played for and, who was in my circle. But, outside of that, that's someone that I just have a lot of respect for, even if I wasn't to go to Alabama. Just obviously the success he's had for so long. And, regardless of me working with him and being around him for so much, hearing him have complimentary things to say about me, honestly, just as a fan of the game and someone who knows football, it means the world. So, honestly, everything he said, I've really been grateful for it. I haven't been coached by him. Even putting that to the side, just hearing his take on ball and him having a positive, expression of me, I'm super grateful for. So it's been all really surreal to hear that stuff.
I'm laughing because, I'm old enough to be your dad and you're incredibly polished and you are a smart kid, a smart person, and you know exactly what to say. I will say this again. I'm going to invoke our guy, Rick Spielman. He said he worked for Rick. I don't know if you knew this. Saban fired Rick when they were at the Miami Dolphins, but Rick will say he learned more football from Nick Saban than anyone because they would watch tape every day from 4 to 6 after practice. And he said it was in those moments that he learned things. But I'm going to follow up and ask another question on the previous one there. Has Coach Saban ever pulled you aside and said something to you that took you aback because it was positive and sort of reinforced what you thought you were doing right?
Yeah, for sure. He does that. He does that all the time. Again, obviously the media and, the outside, you see you expect from Coach Saban the rants and you hear all the clips of him yelling and, that definitely does happen. But also, people don't see the side of him that's super supportive. That will pull you to the side. And, also he understands when it's necessary for him to be like you see on media, when it's necessary to have more of a message for the team or for an individual to pull someone aside. He understands that stuff. He understands, just the climate of where everyone's at and how to get his message across, the most effectively. So, that stuff happens all the time. He'll joke around and mess around in practice and, he'll make a good play. He'll have something slick to say about it. And, that's kind of his way of telling you like, that was a good throw. That was a good play, whatever it was. So that's definitely the stuff that stands out about me. But, he definitely has at times where he pulls you aside or, he's asked me questions, and he's valued my opinion and wanted my opinion on certain things. And being able to earn that trust and get that stuff, that's a huge vote of confidence. And I'm super grateful for a lot of those experiences.
Let me ask you about prior to your time becoming a starter, but after you arrived at Alabama, what was it like sharing a quarterback's room with Mac Jones? Did you learn anything from Mac? The same thing with Tua Tagovailoa. Are there anything you take away from those guys? And have you talked to them? Have you talked to Jalen Hurts about what you can expect going forward in the next few weeks, the next few years of your quarterback journey?
Yeah, for sure. I learned a ton from Mac Jones. Being in that room, just that being my intro to college football. How he carried himself, how he led the team, and then, how he thought about everything, how he saw the game, watching every game, watching the tape from every game, every practice, hearing him talk through things, hearing, how he got to, from 1 to 2 to 3 on these progressions, and how he was able to eliminate stuff, all that, just getting a peek into how he operated and seeing how he prepared too. I always pride myself in preparation, even before I got to college, but he really showed me that next level of preparation and things to know, and watching how he did that was really big for me. So I learned a ton from him, and still do. I still talk to him and still text him all the time, and he'll I ask him for things, and he gives me advice on stuff at the next level. So that of the three, that's definitely just since we played together, that's who I've talked the most with. But I have talked to Tua, Jalen, and again, they're super great people, on top of being great players, and they've all given me votes of confidence, which means a ton, especially coming from them. I never got to play with any of them, but when I got there, a lot of my tape from starting to learn the offense was from them. So I feel like I had watched them play so much in college from that, and now seeing it translate to the success they're having at the next level is really inspiring for me.
So you won't say it, but I'll say it. And you did more with less, and no disrespect to your teammates, but there were a lot of first-round picks that they were throwing the ball to, and you didn't have those first-round picks, but you certainly made those people around you better. You don't have to comment on that. That's just me making a comment based on what I saw from what you did. And all three of you guys are fantastic quarterbacks. So sort of a silly question. The comps are all over the place for you. Is there a pro comp that you've seen that actually made you laugh? That's like, where did that come from?
I don't know. I haven't seen – I don't know. I'm like, honestly, I people will tell me some stuff that is like, I guess the more like talked about things, or more like, the more publicized narratives, but I don't really like keep up on all the like day-to-day things. So I haven't seen that too many comparisons.
That is a smart way to go. I'll give you some. Yeah. Like Drew Brees was one, which I don't hate the Drew Brees comp, because when he came out in 2001, he was incredibly athletic coming out of Purdue, and you're obviously a good athlete. Russell Wilson has been a common one, although Russ weighs 220, but Russ was smaller when he came out, and he put on some weight there. And I think I've talked to scouts that said Russ might be the closest, but you are so different in what you do. Part of that's the fact that you're not 6'5", but there are obviously quarterbacks that have had success that have been smaller. But it's sort of hard to find a comp for you, because in a lot of ways, you're special. Like Tua was a tough comp, Mac was a tough comp, because different body types, different things they do well. But I didn't know if there's anything that you've seen. A couple, Debo, the producer, mentions Doug Flutie. Do you know who Doug Flutie is?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So good, yeah. Now, Doug Flutie was the OG small quarterback. Yeah. Actually, you could go back to Fran Tarkenton. He was smaller and athletic. Yeah. But Patrick Mahomes is one that Patrick is obviously a little taller, but a lot of off-platform throws, a lot of things out of structure that you do that extremely well. And then, of course, I don't know if our buddy Rick Spielman told you this. Did he tell you his comp?
What was his?
Steph Curry. Have you heard that before, Steph Curry?
I have heard that. I've been relayed that one, which is, honestly, all those comparisons are a huge honor, just to be in the same conversation as those guys.
Stop it.
No, for real, especially Drew Brees. Hearing Drew Brees is, again, someone who was, really a pioneer, and I feel like it kind of goes overlooked, because back then, quarterbacking was such a different. There's such a different norm, there's such a different style, and he was so efficient with what he did. And then, Patrick Mahomes, hearing that is a huge honor, as well. Just, speaks for itself. But, he's changed the quarterback position, all the success he's had. Just the stuff he's able to do is surreal. And, I'm a huge fan of his game and the stuff he's able to do. And, Steph Curry is my favorite athlete. Hearing that's definitely a huge honor as well. But, personally, I'm grateful for all the comparisons. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's really cool to hear your name, you know, next to guys like that. But I try to just be the best version of myself. I definitely watch a lot of football, and you know, I'll take certain things from certain individuals and look at it and see if it's something that will work for me, and try to, you know, experiment and learn about it. And you know, there's some stuff that I've taken and try to model out after. But you know, I wouldn't say it's just one person. You know, I watch a lot, try to observe a lot, but I just try to figure out what works best for me and try to perfect that. So, you know, really that's my approach behind it.
You're doing a great job of that. And the thing with comps, they're really hard to do, and they're almost unfair, but it's something that fans love. And, you know, we're in the pleasing fans business. So I get what you're saying, and I think you're exactly right. So you've known CJ Stroud since middle school, which is crazy. What's it been like going through this process where everyone is talking about these two Southern California kids battling to be the first overall pick? Are you guys talking frequently about this stuff? What's that been like?
Yeah, like you said, I've known him since middle school. We're super cool. We're super close. As someone I consider a brother, and you know, that's not, we work out together. We train together. You know, we see each other all the time. Again, we work out together, and that's definitely not part of our day-to-day dialogue. You know, we have a, you know, we're super close. You know, honestly, outside of football as well. So, you know, really, we just want to help each other. You know, we try to do our best to help each other, you know, on and off the field with whatever it may be. You know, I always root for him and always want the best for him, and as he does the same for me. And you know, for us working out together and training together, it's been super fun just to be able to share this experience with him. And you know, us training together, we're always helping each other out and trying to empower each other. So, you know, for us, is, you know, we're both believers. We both feel like whatever's going to happen for us individually, you know, is what's right. And, you know, I know wherever that CJ goes, you know, I know he's going to be extremely successful. And I'm a huge fan of his game, just watching from afar. And then, you know, obviously now, you know, and knowing him on top of that, just, you know, he's a great person on top of a great player. So, you know, I always root for him because of that. But even if I didn't know him, I love his game. You know, love watching him on film and working out with him. So, you know, we're super close. So it's definitely nothing negative.
No, that's a fun story. I don't know CJ. I've only talked to him a few times, and he was a lot of fun to watch, so I agree with that. All right, completely random question, just making this up out of thin air. What are your thoughts on food in Charlotte when you visited Charlotte?
I was there for a top 30 visit. So those are pretty quick turnaround. So all I have to reference is I think the hotel food, and then what was at the facility. So you know, I have a pretty small frame of reference.
All right, listen, I'm gonna give you a little. I texted my buddy who grew up in Charlotte. Uptown and South End, that's where all the young professionals live, just in case you need that information. So scribble that down for future reference. You do with it what you will. All right. So let's get to the good stuff. This is the reason you're here. Let's talk a little bit about body armor. That's your body armor's newest athlete, which is great. How does body armor fuel you as an athlete, and what does it mean to be part of their team with some of the other NFL greats like C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey, and CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor to be able to join, like you said, other NFL athletes and athletes across all sports, and being a partner with Body Armor. You know, it's something I'm extremely proud of and super grateful for. And, you know, just being an athlete and trying to get, you know, be the best version of myself day in and day out. You know, hydration is huge for that. You know, it's something I take a lot of pride in. And, you know, Body Armor is the best at that. It's you know, it being a sports drink that hydrates so well, and, you know, it being a sports drink that's better for you, it really helps me. It fuels me, you know, day in and day out. You know, I'm big on hydrating, especially before things, and then, you know, hydrating after, so that you're ready for that next day. And, you know, being able to, you know, drink Body Armor was, you know, it was something I was doing before. So having this partnership is really important for me. It's really an honor, and I'm super, you know, I couldn't be more excited to be partnered with them.
Bryce, I want to thank you, and it's crazy to think that 4 years ago you were in high school, and now you're about to be the face of a franchise. It's a great story. You're a great dude. I'm extremely excited for you. Thanks for taking a few moments to talk with us, and I'll tell Rick Spielman, because he's gonna be crying to get to talk to this guy, Bryce Young. I'll tell him you said hey.
For sure. Yeah, please tell him I said hello, and thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Bryce.